Hey there, this is a forecast about the upcoming new moon in Cancer. We're going to have this new moon in Cancer, which is a time when the sun and moon both come together at the same point. When this happens, a new cycle is initiated, a new cycle of creation, you would say. And it's going to be where our supreme self, our supreme nature of the sun, joins the emotional and reflective nature of the moon. And when these two things come together, it starts a new cycle of growth and a new cycle that year based on that sign. So now we're going to be looking at the Cancer cycle. We're finishing up the Gemini cycle here early on this week of July 16th, 17th, 18th. And so Cancer is a sign of feelings, emotions. It has to do with moodiness because of our I'm trying to block the wind, because we don't live authentically through our feeling self, because we're not connected to the true source of feelings in our heart. We live through the agency of the emotions, which are generated by the external things we become attached to, hoping for emotional peace. We're trying to feel whole. We're trying to feel whole. Feel whole. It's a big thing. That's the moon. Feeling whole. Feeling integrated. Feeling connected to love in our heart. Because we don't feel connected to the love in our heart, we try to feel connected to something external that we hope is going to anchor our heart on something eternal and stabilize that restless heart, that restless nature. So that comes from the moon, and the moon expresses itself in the sign of Cancer. So this is what this cycle is about. The next 30 days from the new moon is a time of really feeling your heart and what's honestly in your heart. And people say, oh, it's emotional, it's sensitive, and da-da-da-da. There's a lot of emotions. Anger is an emotion, fear is an emotion, joy is an emotion. But actually, like my guru Amma says, love is not an emotion, it's a flow. And love is like the only true feeling. The only true feeling is love, and all the other ones are some abomination of that, because we can't feel love in this situation. We generate anger, frustration, fear, jealousy. All these emotions come because we're not able to connect with pure feeling, which is just love. And so this principle is going to be very active for the next 30 days, starting on the new moon. Now, the new moon is in the nakshatra of Punarvasu, which literally means return of the light. And it is ruled by Jupiter, and the deity is called Aditi, A-D-I-T-I, who is the mother of the Adityas. So it's very much a kind of earth mother energy. So there's a lot of these kind of maternal instincts that will be challenged and tested, and even your bad mother shadows and things like that, if however you were nurtured and however you feel, about, let's say your mother or things like that, the quality of nurturing in your life could be a real issue during this next 30 days starting from the new moon. Punarvasu is ruled by Jupiter, and it is the symbol is a quiver of arrows pointing up. It's actually very similar to like a Sagittarius kind of energy, the arrows especially. And so it's hopeful, and it's sort of like a child, like parents are hopeful about their children. You can see the theme of children here, because Aditi is the mother of the Adityas, and Jupiter is the Karaka of children. And it's this kind of hopeful nature, like people are hopeful about their children, and they always kind of go a little bit overboard about their own children, even though their children are the most amazing beings ever. This kind of hope, but also a kind of disappointment with things. And Punarvasu bridges Gemini and Cancer, so it's kind of how we get all excited about a certain kind of information and some kind of idea, big ideas, and then we have to really anchor our ideas in the heart. This is the bridge between Gemini and Cancer, is Punarvasu Nakshatra. So it's not just about being hope-inspired or hopeful about our information. It actually has to be anchored in the heart, which is Cancer, in order for it to become wisdom. So that's the real energy of this nakshatra, Punarvasu. Another thing that's very salient on this new moon is there's a lot of stelliums, and actually some unfriendly ones. You have Jupiter, Venus, Ketu. Jupiter, Venus are kind of inimical. We have Mars, Saturn in Virgo. Mars and Saturn are not really friendly with each other. We have Mercury and the Moon. Mercury and the Moon are not friendly with each other. So there's a lot of inimical kind of energies pulling against each other. Passion and desire, Venus, versus long-term goals and bigger picture stuff, Jupiter. Saturn is control, stability, structure. Mars is destroying it to assert our independence. Mercury is about discrimination and recognizing all the details. The Moon is about blurring them together toward this synthetic feeling. So there's a lot of these kind of energies that are a bit in conflict with each other as well at the genesis of this new moon. The other thing that's interesting is all the planets, not including Rahu and Ketu, are just in 3 signs, 3 rashis. Now there's an important group of yogas called Nabhasa yogas. They're actually in Brihat Parashara Horasastra. Parashara himself talked about the Nabhasa yogas, and they have to do with how many rashis hold the planets. Like if you have all the planets in 4 rashis, it's related to this. If you have them in 5, it's related to this. And all of the planets are just in 3 rashis on this new moon as well, and 3 is related to Mars. Because you have Jupiter, Venus, it actually excludes the nodes, but Jupiter, Venus, and also Ketu in Taurus, Moon, Mercury, Sun in Cancer, and then Mars, Saturn in Virgo. So all of the 7 starry grahas are just contained in 3 signs. So that's a very Mars kind of feeling behind it. 3 is related to Mars, so there could be a real kind of Martian approach to working these things out and to finding your inner peace in the midst of your outer cravings and longings and those things that you hope would deliver the goods, deliver the sense of wholeness and peace in your heart that you're looking for in the outer world. So that's the Cancer cycle that will be initiated, and that's the general forecast. Now what I also do for my members is I talk about how that's going to impact each of the 12 signs. So if you want to know how that is going to affect you based on your rising sign, usually is what it's geared toward, but also if you use the moon sign more, then you can use the moon sign, but it's usually the sidereal rising sign, which is how Vedic astrology works. Then you can hear it now, only 1 penny. You get to hear that, and you get 14 days of forecasts at my member site, which includes all kinds of stuff, full written forecast each week, like 16 pages of forecast, a bunch of videos, and all kinds of stuff all the time to keep you up to date on what's happening. So big cycle here, this Cancer cycle starting this week. So thanks a lot.